Thank you for tuning into Farmers TV, the Farmers Partner, where we educate and inform you on the current affairs in the sector. It is the first week of February 2016, and top on our stories today. Kenya tea output is expected to drop by 12% this year. National Cereals and Produce Board introduces measures to curb fertilizer theft, and plans by the government to mitigate the ongoing drought in parts of the country will cost the exchequer 9.5 billion Kenya shillings. Don't go away. Hello, I'm Malachi Motano. The country is likely to produce 416 million kilograms of tea this year, which is 12% less than in 2016 due to ongoing drought. Production of the crop rose to a record high last year at 473 million kilograms due to good rainfall associated with the El Nino weather phenomenon in the first half of the year.
Most parts of the country have been hit hard by long dry spells, which have in turn affected farming activities. Among crops that have been affected is tea, whose production is expected to dip. Kenya Tea Development Agency, KTDA, is projecting a 30% drop in tea production this year.
The crop is a lot lower than in the previous year. Less tea, it means more cost per kg on the overheads, isn't it? Yes. And then even less cash, because the more kilos you get, the more cash you get. But right now we cannot predict exactly how much it is. Yes.
There are fears that reduced production could affect earnings, which has prompted some factories within Nyeri County to contemplate retrenchment to cut on costs. This comes even as tea prices have started improving at the Mombasa tea auction after months of volatility. Experts say the low production could push up demand for the produce as well as prices. This comes on the backdrop of KTDA announcing that it has found new markets for tea in Iran and Russia after the United Nations lifted a 10-year embargo. Kanyago says KTDA will expand the orthodox tea product in order to dislodge India and Sri Lanka that has dominated the market over the years.
The government has suspended the packaging of subsidized fertilizers at the port of Mombasa following increasing cases of deviations of the commodity by unscrupulous businessmen. This comes as the government confirmed the sacking of 22 National Cereals and Produce Board employees last year who are accused of having engaged in diversions of the subsidized fertilizer in parts of Nakuru and Rift Valley.
In 2009, the government started an input subsidy program that was intended to deliver fertilizer to small-scale farmers at prices lower than the market price. But then very few small-scale farmers are able to access the fertilizer because the system has been infiltrated by third parties who get to it before the farmer can. The fraud involves diversion of subsidized fertilizer, which is then repackaged and sold at market rates that are higher.
Subsidized fertilizer was diverted in Kitale, where we think almost lost 4,000 bags. In Meru, 440 bags. In Nakuru, over last weekend, you saw us intercepting 3,400 bags. Thika, early this week, 2,500 bags.
NCPB staff members are believed to have aided the diversion, and 22 have been suspended, including 3 regional managers whose regions were most affected, as well as depot managers whose depots lost subsidized fertilizer.
The case in Nakuru was actually one of our distributors. He was awarded the tender to distribute and transport fertilizer, subsidized government fertilizer from Mombasa to Kitale.
The subsidized fertilizer sells for 1,800 shillings per bag compared to the market rate of 3,200 shillings. So far, 10,000 bags have been recovered, and the government says it already has a list of people it is investigating, especially in Kitale and Cape Karen.
Those cartels, those gangs, the police force is already taking action to follow on some of them who have actually taken off and disappeared.
The system currently requires a farmer to go to their local administration to verify that indeed the person is a farmer and the acreage they hold. The chief then writes the farmer a voucher that is taken to NCPB for verification. After that, the farmer gets another slip that allows him to go pay for the fertilizer in a bank before he can return to NCPB to collect the fertilizer.
Cabinet Secretary for Treasury Henry Rotich says both the national and county government would be forced to review their 2016-2017 budgets in a bid to allocate more cash towards drought mitigation measures if the ongoing drought persists.
These have become familiar scenes in almost all parts of the country, starving residents in dire need of relief food, with pastoral communities counting losses due to the death of their livestock occasioned by the biting drought. And with the situation showing no signs of coming to an end soon, the government says it has set aside 9.5 billion shillings to be used in mitigating the ongoing drought and possibly famine that is ravaging the country.
We were looking at a figure of about 9.5 billion if the situation worsens than what we had anticipated in October.
Treasury Cabinet Secretary Henry Rotich says a major restructuring of the budget is imminent if the long rain season expected from March to May fails.
We are now in a crisis. It may turn to be emergency, and if at all disaster, if the long rains fail. From there, we are already preparing to make a major restructuring of the budget, both at national level and the county level, to accommodate additional requirements to ensure that human beings, livestock are not affected.
Rotich further says projections on the gross domestic product could be reviewed if food supply is strained due to the poor rains in the coming season.
When we were completing our budget policy statement, we had anticipated the impact of these short rains, and that is why our GDP forecast for this year had been left almost unchanged from last year. We had expected to grow probably by 6.5% this year, but certainly we are looking at around a figure of 5.8 to 6%, which takes into account the already existing drought. But certainly there will be a major challenge if the long rains fail.
His agriculture counterpart, Willie Bett, on his part says the 8 million bags of maize deficit will be catered for through imports by millers and the private sector.
The plan is to maintain rice wheat imports under the current arrangements, with rice imports and grain millers fill the deficit on these commodities.
Among other interventions is the supply of fertilizer and fast-maturing seeds to farmers in regions that are expected to receive off-season rainfall, which will provide sufficient moisture for legumes.
So we have 144 million, which we will help them supply the short and early maturing seeds. And of course, we have our normal program of fertilizer subsidy. And so we will be able to respond and support those vulnerable farmers.
The government, in the meantime, is set to begin a 2,700 shillings cash transfer program per household every month to families in Mandera, Marsabit, Wajir and Turkana counties to enable them access food supply.
Tunajua kiangazi itazidi, na sisi tukiwa serikali tutasidi saindi kuweka mikakati na mipango ambayo itahakikisha hakuna Mkenya atakufa.
Na huu mpango ni mpango ambao serikali kuu tukishirikiana na serikali za kaunti ambazo zimeathirika tutauendesha hadi wakati mvua inakuja mwezi wa 4.
It is time for a short break, but still to come. Turkana County shifts focus to drought. President Kenyatta tells county government to intervene in the drought. And maize farmers accuse NEMA over delay of new seed variety. Don't go away. welcome back. The Turkana County government will now delay implementation of some of its ongoing projects across the county and channel more funding to mitigating the drought. The county government will set aside enough money for food provision and water supply.
It's a torrid and cruel landscape, its inhabitants equally clinging to the ever-thinning line between life and death. The parched fields tell the story of one of the worst drought seasons the country has faced.
Sijui Mungu taasha nini, lakini sioni kitu yenye inasabaki kuanzia mwezi wa pili. Kuanzia mwezi wa pili, mimi nafikiri tuko wengi, watu wengi hata inaweza rudi tu, kuna kitu sote imeisha.
In the deserted lands of Kawap, death encircles the air. These are the dried out remains of what was once the community's wealth. These animals had nothing to feed on. Now other creatures will feed off their remains. It's a land littered with the dead and the dying.
Ng'ombe inakufa kila siku. Zaidi ya ng'ombe 600 amekufa kwa hii boma. Na tumesikia serikali iko mpango ya kununua ng'ombe ile na konda. Sijui atakuta nini kununua. Sijui ananunua ngozi ama mfupa. Ng'ombe anaendelea kuisha.
In this dry, dusty part of the country, every drop helps them scrape a living off the lands. If the rains don't come for a season, people go hungry. If they fail twice in a row, the people and their animals begin to starve. This is a lucky herd. It's a people's life savings, viciously protected. But it's become a difficult existence. A brutal battle with climate change has made it even harder.
Even though we are supposed to be taking between 1,500 to 2,000 animals, this is not enough. And the drought has, it's really affecting pastoralists.
These deep pits are the community's few water options. But with a dry spell, it would take more of these young men to reach the water down below. It's dangerous hard work, more so for those weakened by the hunger. The other options are these choppy, green, already drying water pans, a shared resource between the people and their livestock. Such little patches of brown water are a community's source of life. But life is slowly slipping away for many of its people. Her thinning, frail frame stands symbolic of this community's thinning hope of existence. It's been days since she's had anything solid to eat. This steaming pot of hard-boiled wild fruits, locally known as sarich, will be the only meal of the day. But it's not any good for the children.
Tunaanza asubuhi mpaka jioni. Na hii chakula tunakula kwa shida. Hii chakula watoto wanakula wanaara tena.
For others, the meat from the carcasses will be the only decent serving they will have had in a while. The drought has driven many children out of school. Over 10 schools and 19 early education centers have been forced to shut down.
Muda kidogo hivi utapata wanafunzi wengi wanaanza kupotea shuleni, maana wazazi wao wanaenda kutafuta malisho bora pamoja na maji, kwa hivyo wanatembea kwa mbali, au wanafunzi hawatafika tena shule.
This is in the middle of a school week and in what should be a school term. But many of them have been long gone. And this is where to burrow into the already drying riverbeds for water. Here they join other groups of women and children, digging a lifeline from deep in the earth. It's a relief when this little puddle of chalky brown water springs forth. They will drink from it and live off it a few more days before this too dries up.
Ndio tunakunywanga tu maji namna hii, ngamia, ponda, umbwa, nini, yote ni namna hii tu.
The community competes for the few available resources with their livestock, but the drought is taking a bite into the fragile peace between the communities. Young men have to drive their herds under the relentless sun and almost cloudless sky, and sometimes into enemy territory. These communities are in desperate need of help from outside. But what they really need is rain. But forecasters say this is not on the horizon. The drought appears set to continue, and now everyone has to make do with whatever little they can find.
President Kenyatta tells county governments to intervene in the drought.
The drought occasioned by failed rains is worsening by the day. Loss of hundreds of thousands of livestock notwithstanding, close to 2 million Kenyans are facing starvation, with the numbers growing by the day. The country's strategic grain reserve depleting first, with only 21 million bags of maize in government stores. This volume can only push the country to June this year. To cushion the country from exposure, the government has banned maize exportation for now.
Kama nchi hakuna kuexport mahindi mbele ya wananchi wetu kwanza wapate chakula yao. Ile mambo ya kuexport mahindi tumefunga.
The president's directive also extending to dubious business people said to be holding maize at the expense of a starving population.
Kuna wafanyabiashara ambao wamechukua nafasi hii kununua mahindi kwa wakulima kwa bei ndogo, na mahindi sasa wanajaza kwa mastoo ati ndio waweze kuona kama wataweza kuuza nje au walazimishe serikali inunue hiyo mahindi kwa bei ya juu.
Grain farmers in Western region want the government to fast-track biotechnological research on release of new maize seed variety into the market before the next planting season. Under the national umbrella of Cereal Growers Association, the farmers drawn from Kakamega, Bungoma and Trans Nzoia counties are blaming the National Environmental Management Authority for the delay in the certification of the new seed variety. In a bid to weed out middlemen who have infiltrated the agricultural sector, the Ministry of Agriculture is set to start vetting maize farmers who will benefit from the National Cereals and Produce Board purchase. NCPB will soon strictly buy maize from registered farmers.
I want the farmer who harvests anytime now not to be taken advantage of by the middleman. And you are all aware what happens. This is the time when middlemen are now hiring stores around to go pick produce at throwaway price and come and store them. And you know where they will take them eventually? The cereals at a better price. So we don't want to allow that. We want cereals to take it from the word go. For now, there is a team which is out there. You know, we are basing our pricing nowadays on a market survey. Because we survey on the cost of production and everything else, so that we can set a price which would give a farmer a markup, but not a price which we are compensating for certain inefficiencies. That one we are not doing it. So we want a farmer to benefit, while at the same time, you know, there's a final consumer, the flour consumer. We also have to take care of him, because if the price of the maize goes up, we are going to hurt somebody else. So we have to make a real balance. The farmer should make sense out of his farming, but not abnormal prices.
Farmers in Lukuyani Sub-County have been encouraged to embrace passion fruit farming in order to economically empower themselves. Mr. Magellan Otanga, an officer with Safaricom Company Limited, made the remark at Sango Ward, where he handed over 300,000 seedlings of passion fruits to small-scale farmers in the area.
I decided to plant passion fruit because it has good returns when I compare it to the maize crop. With maize, you have to wait a whole year for the plants to mature, but passion takes about 6 months, and from there I make money every week whenever I harvest.
We have been concentrating on maize as a staple crop, and farmers have not been doing farming as a business. It's now that when this crop came, we encouraged them so that they diversify. Like last year, the drought was there, the maize crop failed. But if they had different crops like passion, maybe millet. They could diversify, they will also still sell. But the passion, we are encouraging them because it improves the poverty level of the area.
Today, I sold 350 kilos, and in a week, I usually harvest about 600 kilos. Passion farming has really helped us. I can comfortably educate the children, feed the family. It has really helped. When I compare it to growing wheat and maize, it has more benefits.
Price war between millers and the National Cereals and Produce Board is hindering attempts by the state to build up much-needed food reserves. Millers are currently buying a 90-kilogram bag of maize at 3,500 Kenya shillings, as the government, through the board, pays producers 3,000 shillings for the same quantity.
The government announced on Wednesday that it would buy maize from farmers at a price of 2,200 shillings for every 90-kilogram bag of maize delivered to the National Cereals and Produce Board depots. In addition to the new price offer, the government intends to pay farmers a rebate or a partial refund of 500 shillings for every 90-kilogram bag. Despite the government's efforts, maize farmers are still dissatisfied.
Bei ya mahindi sio nzuri sana, kama sisi wakulima hatujafurahia.
Sikufurahia kabisa. Nilikuwa natarajia at least bei ya 3,500.
What now remains to be seen is how the government's latest offer to maize farmers will tilt the balance in the farmers' favor as the maize harvesting season begins in earnest.
Welcome back. Drama unfolded in Naivasha after irate members of the Maasai community stormed an anti-stock theft unit to protest the continued detention of their livestock. The herdsmen complained that 56 herds of cattle that were grazing in the area due to the ongoing drought were detained for many days near Kalro Farm in Naivasha. The country is headed towards a fuel crisis as petroleum distributors vowed not to resume work until the government lifts an order banning the transportation of fuel after 6:30 p.m. This, even as the Kenya Independent Petroleum Distributors Association met with the Energy Cabinet Secretary Charles Keter but failed to agree on a way forward.
Independent petroleum distributors are alleging harassment by the police on the national highways when it comes to transporting fuel between 6:30 p.m. and 6:30 a.m. Their protests, however, now threatens to precipitate national fuel crisis.
Unajua the issue here ni kusumbuliwa na askari. Tulikuwa tunaenda bila askari. Lakini sasa inakuwa askari ukimpata askari anajua sasa amepata nyama.
Suppose 6:30 gets them somewhere where it's not safe. What happens to that? And what we have said is they must get to the safest destination. And if the police, and we are going to talk with my colleague C.S. Ngaisere, if the police get them at 6:30, they have to escort them to the safest position, not to harass them. You can know where is safe. I mean, a town may be safe, isn't it? Or a police station may be safe. I mean, isn't it? These are flammable products. And what you are saying is, you cannot prescribe and say the safest place is here.
In the last 48 hours, an estimated 40 million liters of fuel has failed to be distributed in the country, leading to hundreds of millions of shillings in losses.
Hapa ile biashara tunafanya, siku moja tunatoa zaidi ya lita milioni 4, karibu milioni 5. Vile vitu vya juu haviwezi tulia, zinawaka moto sasa.
So mimi naomba nyinyi tafadhali, si ndio? Naomba tafadhali. And we are here to sort it out. We are not saying this is the final. Sijasema hii imekwisha. Am I right? Am I right? We are trying to give a temporary solution.
Keter pledged to have a letter written to sanction the transportation of fuel after 6:30 p.m. as long as it is being escorted to a safe zone. The solution offered by the government, however, faces feasibility challenges. given the thin volume of the police force relative to Kenya's population.
Pengine nakuja ingia hii kazi ya mafuta.
The frosty relationship between the drivers of the heavy commercial trucks and the police is also poised to create a mountain to climb when it comes to building a working relationship.
Tumesema ya kwamba saa 12:30 mahali itakupata. Usishikwe ila uongozwe mpaka usikie kwamba uko safe.
Even though it is only members of the Kenya Independent Petroleum Dealers Association who took part in the industrial action, the entire oil industry has been affected, with various reports from motorists of lengthy queues for fuel at certain filling stations in the capital city. Earlier, Keter met Kipeda's officials in a bid to address their concerns on harassment, in a meeting which yielded fruit.
This brings us to the end of this week's bulletin. Till next time, cheers.